You know that feeling when you're staring at a brain teaser and you just know there's a secret you're missing? Well, we're going to pull back the curtain today. I'm here to show you that solving these puzzles isn't some kind of magic trick. Nope, it's all about having the right set of tools in your back pocket. So what if I told you that you could have a secret key? A master key that could unlock even the most mind-bending problems. Well, the good news is you absolutely can. See, these puzzles, they're not a test of some kind of born-with-it genius. Not at all. They're just a test of strategy. So let's get right to it and start building that toolkit, one piece at a time. Okay, tool number one is what I like to call the translator, and its job is pretty simple but super powerful. It takes a big, confusing mess of words and turns it into the clean, simple language of math. Trust me, this is your secret weapon against those really intimidating word problems. All right, let's put this tool to the test with a classic puzzle. Listen to this. It sounds kind of like a riddle, doesn't it? You've got people standing around, empty benches. The whole thing is basically designed to trip you up. But not for us, not when we have the translator. So here's how we just dismantle this thing. Step one, let's get our terms straight. We'll just say P is for people and N is for benches. Simple enough. Now we translate the first clue. It says the number of people is the number of benches plus 4 more standing around. Easy. That's just P equals N plus 4. The second clue? It says the people fill up all the benches except one, 2 at a time. So that means P equals 2 times, well, not N, but N minus 1. And here's the magic moment. Since both of those equations equal P, they have to equal each other. And just like that, poof, the confusing word problem is gone. And that is the power of translation right there. We took a confusing story and turned it into a simple, straightforward algebra problem. N plus 4 equals 2 times N minus 1. The hard work is totally done. Now all we got to do is solve for N. And after a tiny bit of math, we get our answer. N, the number of benches, is 6. So now we just plug that 6 back into our first super simple equation. You remember, P equals N plus 4? So P equals 6 plus 4, which means P, the number of people, is 10. Boom, problem solved. See, no magic, just translation. Okay, time for our next tool. This one's called the whole picture, and it's all about putting scattered pieces of a puzzle together. You know those problems that throw a bunch of different fractions at you and then challenge you to figure out the total? Yeah, this is for those. So check out our next challenge. We've got a restaurant. A third of the customers order sandwiches, half get hamburgers, an eighth gets steak, all fractions of the total. But then it just says the last 2 people ordered a salad. How in the world are we supposed to figure out the total number of customers from just 2 salads? Well, the key here is to actually visualize the whole pie, or, the whole restaurant full of customers. You can see these big chunks taken up by sandwiches and hamburgers, right? And then there's that smaller slice for the steak orders. But look closely. See that tiny sliver that's left over? That's our missing piece. That's gotta be the salads. Okay, so here's the crucial insight. If we add up all the fractions we do know, the 1/3, the 1/2, and the 1/8, you know what we get? We get 23 over 24. That means almost everybody is accounted for. So that tiny little fraction that's left, that 1/24th, that has to be the 2 people who ordered salads. And once you realize that, the whole thing just clicks into place. The final question becomes super simple. If that one tiny slice of the pie is 2 customers, then how big is the whole pie? It's got to be 48, right? You just multiply that 2 by 24. By seeing how all the little pieces fit together to make the whole picture, a problem that seemed totally impossible suddenly becomes obvious. That's the power of this tool. All right, our third and final tool is a really cool one. It's called the visualizer. See, some problems, they're not about numbers at all. They're about space and shapes and how you can arrange things. For these kinds of puzzles, you got to put down the calculator and start thinking with your mind's eye. Okay, let's start with a simple one to warm up. Picture 2 squares in your head. Now, how could you make them intersect at exactly 1 point? Just a single tiny point. The hint is, think about their corners. It's actually a really elegant, simple solution, isn't it? You just balance one on top of the other, tip to tip, like 2 diamonds just barely touching at their corners. 1 single point of contact. Pretty easy. But now for the harder one. What about making those same 2 squares intersect at exactly 8 points. I mean, if you just overlap them normally, you only get 2 points, maybe 4 if you're lucky. This is going to require a whole different kind of visualization. The solution here is to literally think outside the box, or I guess to rotate the box. So you take one of the squares and you turn it exactly 45 degrees so it looks like a diamond. Then you place it perfectly over the other square. And what do you get? You get a star. Now, just count the points where the sides cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8. It is such a cool solution, and you can only find it by truly thinking visually. So there you have it. You've seen the strategies, you've seen the tools in action. Now it's time to put your brand new problem-solving toolkit to the test with one last challenge. Just remember the tools we've packed for you. You've got the translator for turning words into simple equations. You've got the whole picture for figuring out totals from a bunch of fractions. And of course, you've got the visualizer for any problem that's about shapes and space. All right, your turn. For this last one, you're definitely going to need the visualizer. So you might even want to close your eyes for this. First, picture a pentagon. You know, a 5-sided shape. Got it? Okay. Now, from every single corner, imagine you're drawing a line to the 2 corners on the opposite side. If you do that right, you should see a classic 5-pointed star taking shape right there inside the pentagon. You got that image in your head? Good. Now for the big question. How many triangles can you find in that shape? And I mean triangles of any size. The answer, well, it just might surprise you. So take your time with this one, be really systematic, and see what you come up with. It's a perfect test for your new puzzle-solving skills. Good luck!